This is great. The Gormans are eating the pets. It's so true. So in Andor, in the first couple episodes of Andor, you see the return of Director Krennic, and essentially he's holding this meeting with a bunch of Imperial officers, including some of our lead characters, and he is interested in this planet because it contains a material that's necessary for the construction of the Death Star, and he's like, all right, how the fuck can we, like, the Gormans, the Gorman planet, which is great, everyone loves Gorman, it's wonderful, you know, they harvest silk from spiders, and it's used for, like, clothes, like, everyone loves their clothes, they're great, but he's like, but fuck these people, right, because I need that shit. So how can we make the galaxy just hate them? We gotta hate them. And so they're like, yeah, we gotta come up with like a bunch of lies. We gotta create like an insurgency down there, and we gotta make does everyone despise them. Essentially, what? Well, fucking, you know, the Trump administration did. Or his campaign did, where it's saying like Haitian people are going around eating fucking pets and stuff. It's like, what are you talking about? So goddamn true, man. It's exactly like that. It's exactly like that. So, for those that don't know, I do enjoy talking about Star Wars, the Star Wars, as I like to say. You know, the good of Star Wars, the mixed of Star Wars, and certainly the bad of Star Wars. And I think it's safe to say the state of Star Wars right now overall is pretty bad. Not to say they haven't released some good stuff during the Disney era, you know, like, you know, Rogue One and, you know, the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, I would say, and certainly Andor Season 1, but it has been a rough time these last 10 years now. The sequel trilogy just kind of being such a complete and utter disaster. Solo being a disappointment, while far from the worst Star Wars movie, just such a mediocre project. And just so many of the TV shows, honestly, floundering. Like Mandalorian starting off rather well, but I think really dropping the ball in Season 3. Ahsoka being a disappointment. Obi-Wan being a huge disappointment. Book of Boba Fett, not very good. And then most recently, stuff like The Acolyte, just I think being one of the worst things that we've seen in Star Wars since the prequel era. And then other shows, which, you know, I've watched a little bit of, but haven't even had the time to complete, really. I forgot even the name of it. You know, the Star Wars Goonies. Remember Star Wars Goonies? They had the Star Wars Goonies, that show, which apparently is pretty good. A lot of people like it, but it's just one of those shows where it's like, I watched a little bit of it, and I was like, yeah, this is fun, but I just never really went back to it. And we're constantly back and forth with Kathleen Kennedy. One moment, which, like, I'll tell you right now, Kathleen Kennedy should absolutely leave. All right, her tenure at Lucasfilm has been atrocious. She is not a creative producer. She's not a creative person whatsoever. All right, like, the best thing that she has done in her career is attach herself to infinitely more creative and intelligent people. Infinitely more intelligent, creative directors and writers. Like, she's great at that. I'll give her that. But as a creative head of a studio, making decisions in terms of stories and characters to adapt, it's been a pretty bad disaster, I would say. I mean, so many projects announced and just canceled, or, I mean, honestly, we just don't even know the state of them, even though they were announced like 5 years ago. It's been very, very frustrating. And really it's sad because I have been a Star Wars fan for years, for decades. You know, I saw the original trilogy when it was re-released back in 1997. That was my first exposure to Star Wars, and it blew my mind. I fell in love with it. And then, of course, I saw the prequels, and, you know, little dumb Chris saw Episode 1 and loved that, but then he saw Episode 2 and went, this is horrible. And then went back and watched Episode 1. That wasn't very good. It was pretty bad. And then Revenge of the Sith, obviously. Like, there have always been peaks and valleys of Star Wars for years, but I'll always have a love for the original trilogy. I always have a love for a lot of the books and things and comics, of course, and video games like Knights of the Republic. That'll always be a part of it. But I'll be very honest. I'm very apathetic towards Star Wars right now. I'm not even mad anymore. It's just more frustration and apathy. I'm just like, I'll just peek in when I see something that interests me or I hear something is good. And one of those things is Andor, which is essentially the spinoff of Rogue One, which in hindsight is easily the best Star Wars movie of the Disney era. I mean, one of the best Star Wars movie, I would argue. Probably my fourth favorite behind the original trilogy. I think it's great. It's about a great concept of who stole the Death Star plans? How did that story come to be? How did it lead up to the events of New Hope? And it worked out really well, I think, for the most part. Some criticism, but overall, great. And when it was announced that they were going to be doing an Andor spinoff, I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. I really liked Diego Luna as Andor in that movie. He was one of the standouts next to Alan Tudyk as K2SO. Love their dynamic. And I just love seeing the seedier side, the darker side of the rebellion, like the stuff that isn't as heroic. It's more the black ops stuff. Having to literally murder, innocent people, for the quote unquote greater good. It's like, wow, that was really interesting to me. And when it was announced, I was like, okay, whatever. I mean, some of these other Star Wars projects I'm more interested in, but those kind of floundered and weren't that great. But Andor was just such a huge surprise because it was incredibly well written with fantastic character work and incredible production values that didn't look like I was just staring at the volume or a green screen. Like they were actually using incredible sets and they were shooting on location, like outside. It added just an extra layer of quality that Star Wars has been lacking for so long, and I just really appreciate and fell in love with it. And I am definitely one of those people that consider Andor to be one of the best pieces of Star Wars content, live-action Star Wars content of all time. It's right up there with the original trilogy. Hell, I think you can make an argument. It's the best written and produced piece of Star Wars content since The Empire Strikes Back. I don't think that's hyperbolic to say. I really loved it. And of course, Tony Gilroy and his people were the individuals that created that first show, and they finally come back. They've come back with season 2, which, even though I'm very apathetic towards Star Wars, it's like the one thing I was looking forward to, and the one thing I was excited about was season 2 of Andor, and I'm very happy to say these first 3 episodes, they're releasing these in batches of 3, I think, for the next 4 weeks. But I'm very happy to say it's brilliant so far. It's like, what if HBO made a Star Wars movie or TV show in this case? If they made a TV series, everything from the writing, the character development, the production values, and the spectacle is fantastic. It truly feels like a lived-in real world with compelling and real characters that are layered and multifaceted. I mean, what's working with the show right now is pretty much everything. I really don't have any complaints. Like, the plot is really, obviously it takes place after the events of season 1, where Cassian Andor has definitely joined the rebellion, or at least the budding rebellion. So much of the rebellion is still spread out across the galaxy. They're not like a unified military. And that's led to a lot of disorganization and a lot of paranoia. And the first plot of this particular arc, which they're separating them. Apparently, each set of 3 episodes takes place a specific year leading up to the Battle of Yavin. So these first 3 episodes is 4 BBY, 4 years before the Battle of Yavin. The next one's like, you're going to jump a year later, it'd be 3 BBY. But in this case, it's 4 BBY. And you have Cassian Andor doing a heist of an Imperial starship. Specifically, I feel like a prototype of the TIE Interceptor, which we later see in Return of the Jedi, which I think is like really, really cool. And he has to take this starfighter to a specific location and gets into a heck of a lot of trouble while doing it. But then we have this incredible supporting cast as well that's happening during this heist and what Cassian has to deal with when he gets into the middle of these 2 warring rebel sides who don't even realize they're all part of the same movement because they're so disorganized. No one trusts each other. Everyone's making stupid decisions, and he's got to figure out a way how to get out of there, also with this experimental Imperial spacecraft. But you have everything with Cassian's friends from the original season, specifically Adria Arjona, who is a tremendous actress and has such a harrowing arc and story in the first season as Bix Kayleen. who is a very close friend and former lover of Cassian Andor. You know, her and her friends, Cassian Andor's friends, they're currently residing on this farm planet, trying to lay low, trying to avoid the Empire. And how that story proceeds, and I'll touch on it more in just a bit, introduces a concept to Star Wars I never thought I would see, that I thought was very bold and very brave and incredibly well executed. And it's one of the big things people have been talking about recently, but I absolutely love what they're doing with her character and those specific characters and that plot line. I thought it was great. At the same time, you have Mon Mothma, who's so crazy, like Mon Mothma, who shows up and talking about many Bothans died to get us these plans, and Return of the Jedi, and Mon Mothma, played by Genevieve O'Reilly, who originally was supposed to play Mon Mothma in Episode 3, but had all of her scenes cut, and they brought her back for Rogue One, kind of like a glorified cameo. But she's been, like, featured in a lot of the other Star Wars TV shows, but most specifically, Andor. And they've just made her such a fantastic character. This is where she's getting involved with the rebellion, trying to finance them, but you also just learn more about her history, her marriage, her kind of like arranged, forced marriage, her loveless relationship that she has with her husband, and at the same time, she's like going through like a really terrible period with her daughter, and the daughter's going through what Mon Mothma went through when she was a teenager, essentially a child bride, married off to this wealthy family that has some pretty nefarious connections. And her story so far is great. And she's connected to Luthen Rael, played by Stellan Skarsgård, who continues to be awesome. And I think that's my one critique so far of this season. It's like, I want more of Luthen, because he's just so wonderful. He's great. He's so charismatic. It gives some of the best speeches, I think, in all of Star Wars. And her just getting more involved in the rebellion over time, but also her just trying to find herself. She has so many great moments within these first 3 episodes that I truly, truly loved. But at the same time, you also have a lot of stuff with the Imperials coming into it. You're seeing more connections to Rogue One. You see the return of director Krennic and his political aspirations, you know, him wanting to construct the Death Star, appease the Emperor, and that's what the show, I think, does the best, is, I mean, it does so many great things, but the one thing I walk away with every time I watch an episode is how it portrays the Empire. Of course, the Empire, yes, classic bad guys, Darth Vader, Emperor Palpatine, Stormtroopers, all Imperial Navy, like, we get it. But what the show does such a great job, and it continues on into this season, is it really showcases what it's like for the blue-collar worker, the average Joe, the schlubs, who have to live under this tyrannical space regime, like space fascism. What does that look like on a day-to-day basis? What's the bureaucracy like of the Empire? And listen, when you hear bureaucracy, when you hear politics and things in Star Wars, you instantly think about like the Trade Federation. You think of the boring-ass scenes during the Senate. I understand those scenes were not well executed, but they were good ideas that just Lucas didn't have the capacity to make them interesting. Tony Gilroy and his people make them interesting, because you get to see behind the curtain of the flashy stormtrooper armor or whatever and the AT-ATs. And it's like, what happens behind the scenes? How do these decisions get made? And it's fucking horrifying how they literally discuss, we need to subjugate this world, which is peaceful. Everyone loves them. You know, in this case, it's the Gorman, Planet Gorman, where they make fucking clothes for people. They have spiders, friendly-looking little spiders that shoot out silk out of their butts. I'm like, look at this, isn't he great? We love this guy. And it's like, yeah, that's great. But we got to make people hate these people, because we need to get materials underneath their planet resources that will absolutely destroy their ecosystems of their planet, so we can construct the Death Star. We need this material. So they are like launching a campaign of manipulation, political manipulation. Like, how can we get the rest of the galaxy to hate these people? And they just discuss it like, you know, they're talking about their favorite TV show during breakfast at the water cooler, and it's that. It's the everyday imperial bureaucracy that is so terrifying, and how they dehumanize these people. It's just like the Nazis. During World War II, how they dehumanized Jews and Slavs and gays and anyone else they perceived as an enemy, anyone they thought was unworthy of them. And that's what's so great about this show. It's taking stuff that's always been there in the background, that's always like you felt it, but it's getting into the nitty-gritty details of it. And all of it is showcased through not just spectacular imagery. The fucking budget's on full display. This show is gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous across the board. And you have the production values, the costumes, they shoot on location. All of that is wonderful, but it's the dialogue. It's how they discuss these things. It's how you get to relate to all these characters. Whether they be a hero, a villain, or anything else in between, they just feel like real people. And that's been my thing that I think has bothered me the most about prequel era Star Wars, about a lot of Disney era Star Wars, is that none of these people feel like real people. It's like I can't. They just like the dialogue they're given. They're just like walking pieces of cardboard, just regurgitating exposition. These people are actually having conversations that feel real and mean something, right? And so when something bad happens to these people, and I'll tell you right now, a lot of bad things happen to these characters, you feel it and it means something. Like, and going back to the Imperials, like, you also get to explore the really weird relationship between Denise Go's Deidre Miro and Kyle Soner as Cyril Karn. Who Cyril Karn is, from the original season, he just wanted to be like the best goose step in space Nazi that he could be, but he just couldn't cut it. And so he kind of got thrown into the political imperial bureaucracy as a pencil pusher, essentially. But he's just developed this weird fucking fascination, obsession with an actual imperial operator and agent named Deidre, who is cold as hell. And they're showcasing their relationship in these first couple episodes, and it is so bizarre. But it's great. It's like they're romantically involved, but because of their upbringing, they are so fucked up that the way in which they show affection is so unusual. But like when they do, especially, and I love this actress, Catherine Hunter as Mama Karn, as Cyril's mother, who I can hear her, she can speak any dialogue, she's great, I love her. It's like, Cyril, honey, you're never gonna cut it as a stormtrooper, okay? I told your uncle what you wanted, but he told me, and I believe him, you're a delicate boy. You're not cut out for that kind of work on the front. It's brilliant. They have a whole scene where it's the three of them having dinner, and it's fantastic because his mother, Cyril's mother, is just kind of destroying him. And the thing is, he kind of deserves it too because he's such a little fucking twerp. But she's just, but you're like, oh my god, some part of you, despite him being a fucking little space fascist, you do feel for him, and like him having like a nervous breakdown, and then Deidre's like, I will defend my pathetic little fuckboy because he is my pathetic little fuckboy. It's great. It's so good. I love the conversations that all these characters have with each other. Like, no one is giving a bad performance, from the main leads, the supporting leads, to some of these tertiary characters. Like, who was that guy? It's like they were maybe in and out for a scene, but they fucking delivered a fantastic performance. And that's what's so great about this show. It's like, and listen, some people would say like, oh, I hate that the series is so conversation heavy, you know. The thing is, though, much like, for example, in a movie like Sinners, where the first half of that movie is you getting to know all these people beforehand, like what their relations are with each other, what's their personalities like, what are their dynamics, how they bounce off each other. So when the shit hits the fan, you know, and it does in the case of Sinners, like fucking vampires attacking, then you actually feel for them when something bad happens or whatever happens to them. And that's the same case here in Andor, where these first two episodes lay the groundwork essentially for a really bombastic third, and that's the other thing, the production values and the spectacle is gorgeous. It looks so good. Like, in so many of the modern TV shows, the modern Star Wars TV shows, whether it be Mandalorian or Ahsoka, be like, some of the effects look good, other times, like, this looks really fucking bad. There's not a single effect. There's not a single effect that looks bad in this show. Whether it be a practical effect, and there's a shit ton of practical effects in this, or CGI. The CGI blends seamlessly into the practical stuff. Like all the Starfighter content they have in here, like Cassian Andor stealing that TIE interceptor and having to deal with these other TIE fighters and stormtroopers and everything else that happens after, it looks gorgeous. It looks so good. And it just, like watching these first 3 episodes, it's like I wanted to immediately watch episode 4, but I can't. I gotta wait until next week. But this to me this is what Star Wars needs to be right now. I know some people are saying like, well, Star Wars doesn't need always be like Andor. I'm thinking like, that's fair to say. But I think most of Star Wars needs to be like Andor. It needs to have someone like a Tony Gilroy, who's not even, like, that's the crazy thing. Tony Gilroy's not, he didn't grow up with Star Wars. He's not even a big Star Wars fan, but he's a fucking storyteller. He's a writer. He understands characters and motivation and good dialogue, right? And he surrounds himself with people, and he has said this, I surround myself with people that know Star Wars, that tell me, like, would this make sense if I do this in this world? And I think that is so smart. That's what Star Wars needs right now. It needs quality storytellers that just know what the fuck they're doing. Like, you can be the biggest Star Wars fan in the world. You can be a Dave Filoni, and it's like, well, according to George Lucas, you need to do this, and you gotta have the Force, and you have to have a lightsaber, and we gotta bring in this fucking character from Clone Wars that I created, and it's like, no, you fucking don't. All right? You really don't. Like, this is the only way Star Wars is going to continue to survive and proliferate, is if you bring in people like Tony Gilroy and the other people that he has surrounded himself with. They actually know what they're doing. They know how to tell a good story within this universe. That's what you need. Not all of Star Wars needs to be like Andor, but fuck, I'll tell you what, most of it should be. Fans should expect quality content. They should expect to have great characters to fall in love with and care about or hate and despise in a great way, and to have those characters and villains, whoever else, be given development and have great dialogue, and also, yes, partake in the spectacle of it all. That's what Star Wars fans should have. And it's just so great that this show is delivering all that in a time where the Star Wars franchise, quite frankly, is floundering and at one of its lowest points in years, if not its lowest point. Perhaps it is at its lowest point. Something like Andor shows, it shows me, who is a apathetic fan of the franchise right now, the modern era of the franchise. It shows me you can still tell great stories in it. You absolutely can. It's not dead. Like any franchise, it's not dead. You just got to get people to come in there that care about it and want to tell a really good story, and you can capture everyone's imagination and fascination again. And that's what Tony Gilroy and his people are doing with Andor. And that's what I love about it. I have no complaints. It's so good. And so, yeah, it's only 3 episodes yet. I think we have 9 more. I believe we have 9 more, total of 12 episodes, and each one is a specific arc leading up to the events of Battle, leading up to Rogue One, which is essentially the finale of the series. But it's great.